Welcome, everyone, to an NEBC chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Alabama head coach Nate Oats. And Nate, as practices are beginning across the country and we're into a new normal as we get hopefully closer to more normalcy. So last season, you really can't judge on how you prepared for the season. How did you basically plan for this year, knowing that it wasn't going to be completely normal, but just in terms of prepping for getting your guys ready for another potential run in an SEC title?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we kind of prepped as if it was going to be normal. Now, obviously, there's still protocols, and then it looked like, for a while there, it looked like it was all going away, and it was going to be really normal, and then everything kind of turned again. And now, I mean, I think you just got to be prepared for whatever comes your way. I was at an NBA training camp yesterday, and I'm going to another one today, and they said the NBA sent out a memo the day before training camp starts. So I think just everywhere it's going to be, you may get some last minute notifications on what they want you to do, and you're just going to have to roll with it. So I think it's going to be a lot better than last year for sure, but it's still not going to be 100% normal, I don't think.
Having this summer, though, versus not having it a year ago, how did you use that time wisely?
You know what? It was good. I mean, obviously last summer, we didn't get the whole thing. We were able to, at Alabama, at least get some of it, which is better than what some places had. But, I think we had all of our guys in for the bulk of the summer. Betty Aka was with Team Canada, so he missed some of it. But, we got a lot of new players. We had to get them acclimated to the system. I think we're a lot more ahead than maybe we would have been last year at this time. But I think everybody's a lot farther ahead. I think everybody's got the full summer. So I don't know if we're any further ahead than any other team, but we're further ahead than we were last summer for sure.
One thing I'm curious is, because of what happened during COVID, where a lot of players had to find ways to work out on their own, how much have you found with players that they're coming to you a little bit more, I don't know if skilled is the right word, or more focused or conditioned, that some of the responsibilities are on them to make sure that they're ready for a season?
Yeah, I think that was a big, when we couldn't be together last year, you could still have Zooms, which a lot of people did. Shoot, they've become popular. We're on one now. But during our Zooms, I made that point. I said, this is a great time for everybody to make excuses for why they can't work out, or it's a great time for you guys to jump ahead of a lot of kids making excuses. And I think our guys really bought into that. We had guys, Herb Jones ends up being SEC Player of the Year. I mean, you had to find gyms. We had guys working out on outdoor courts. I mean, when I grew up, that's where everybody played. These kids, till COVID hit, I don't think any of them knew they even had outdoor courts. So some of them had to find stuff. Shackelford was out in California. He's working out with his dad. They had some outdoor courts. But you just had to find places to work out. And I thought our guys did a good job of that. So I think there's an appreciation for what they have now too. They're able to get in the gym 24/7 again. And so, but I do think some guys are more motivated to work out on their own and just realize that the coach doesn't have to do everything. For 3-4 months last year, it was straight on them and their dad or whoever they had, personal trainer, because we weren't allowed to work with them. So I do think that helped. And I think the mindset change, I like it a little bit, because we're only allowed so many hours anyways. So if all they do is put the hours in that we're allowed to work with them, they're not going to get to where they need to get. So they've got to be putting a lot of hours in outside of our required hours to be where they need to get to.
So last year, scheduling in the non-conference for a lot of teams was on the fly. Who could play? Hey, let's go. Let's find a place. You guys have an unbelievable schedule. You're taking that game up in Seattle against Gonzaga. You're going to take on Memphis. I mean, this is a schedule built for a team that thinks it could actually compete for a championship. How did scheduling change as you came back to whether you had games that were held over, or even a new mindset of, hey, you know what? We did it last year. Let's sort of on the fly. Let's do it again.
Yeah. I mean, the games on the fly last year were definitely something that's way different than anything ever. I mean, you're putting a game together, game gets canceled, you're calling somebody, can you play in 2 days? I mean, it was crazy. I was a high school coach for 11 years. That was never like that, even in high school like that. I mean, it's more like summer scrimmages almost. But this year, when you could get it set, and hopefully it stays set, and you got a full calendar worth of games, I don't know if I was dumb or smart in this schedule, because I guess we'll know know come the middle of January, maybe, whether it was smart or not. I mean, we were playing a lot of really tough teams, and we got to go to Seattle, play Gonzaga, Memphis with all the recruits they signed late. That game's a lot harder. I mean, it was going to be a tough game regardless. They had a good program, but that got significantly tougher once they signed a couple guys late. You know, we've got 3 of last year's Final Four teams on the non-conference slate. We got Baylor in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. We've got Houston at home, and then Gonzaga. So I mean, it's, and then you talk about, even we open with Louisiana Tech. I mean, they've got some pretty tough players. One of the guys was arguably the best player on the U19 team for Team USA. So Colorado State's going to be a good team. So I'm more of the high school route. I mean, I was a high school coach not that long ago. Everybody in high school made the state tournament. So it didn't matter what your record was, just make sure you're playing your best basketball come March. I'm a little bit more like that here, but you still got to get some wins. You got to keep your kids' confidence up. So hopefully we didn't schedule too hard, but I'm always on the spectrum of easy to hard. I'm going to be leaning a lot more towards hard and get exposed early and get our weaknesses hopefully fixed before SEC play. And it worked well for us last year. We were 4-3 after the first 7 games, and then ended up going 16-2 in conference play. So, you know, we're going to try to be better than 4-3 after 7 games, but who knows? With our schedule, we may be lucky to be over 500 going into SEC play. But wherever we're at, hopefully we're playing better basketball come January than we were in November.
So look, Nate, there's internal pressure that you put on yourself, of course, all the time. Every coach does it, but the climb to the top, which you've accomplished at a new job, versus what you're now trying to do, which is sustain it. How would you balance those two?
Yeah, I mean, 1 year winning the SEC and being ranked in the top 5, to me, when you're in a place like Alabama, that's not cutting it. Like, they're across the street, they win national championships. They don't win a national championship, they're disappointed. I'm not saying we're going to get it to that level anytime soon, but to just do it for 1 year, you got to have. And again, winning the SEC year to year to year, that's hard to do. Like, I'm not saying we're going to have to win the league every year, but just to keep it at a top 25 level program, that's not easy to do. That's kind of our goal now. Is, you know, we were finished 5th in the country last year. Can we keep this thing sustained to where we're at least a top 25? We're not, at the end of the year, we're not looking at the bubble, you know, are we in, are we out? No, like, we're in, where are we going to be seated? So to me, that's more where we got to get this to. Obviously, there's a lot of it we can control, some of it we can't control, you know, some injuries here and there. Like, you know, we've already had one this year with Namari out for the year, but, you know, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we keep this thing similar to what we had last year. And it's going 16-2 in SEC plays. That's not easy to do. So I hope our fans and everybody don't expect that every year, but we can expect to be a solid program that expects to play in the NCAA tournament, that's competing for SEC championships on a year-to-year basis, is my hope.
All right, Nate, before I let you go, real quick, what are the most important things that you like to get out of the first week to 2 weeks of practice?
You know what? We've got some non-negotiables, just like effort stuff. Like, if after a week or two, if we've got our guys understanding the base effort that it takes, like, because to me, to be great, you've got to get your guys to go really hard. And then on top of that, then you got to execute a scheme. Well, if they understand how hard they have to go and they're doing that on a daily basis, I'm going to be all right. Now we're going to start to put our offense in. You know, I like to go to NBA training camps every year. Last year was the first year I hadn't gone in, I don't know, 15 years or so. I used to go back when I was a high school coach. And the NBA, you get in and you have a week or so till you start playing preseason games. I mean, it's like, bang, you got to have the system in. And in college, there's 6 weeks. I mean, yesterday started the first day you could practice. You get 30 days in those 42. So we didn't start because I sent my staff out to different training camps everywhere just to kind of pick some stuff up. We're starting Thursday. So in those, you get 30 practices before you play a game. So I think what impacts winning the most is what you got to concentrate on first. I think effort and cohesion and, you know, are they sharing the ball? Are they unselfish? Those are all the biggest things to me out of the gate. Now, I don't think you just come in and do effort drills. You know, you're also putting your system in. You got to get them to play the right way. But the main focal points are going to be sprinting back on defense, playing in a stance? Are you giving an effort on the defensive end? Are you sprinting the floor? Are you talking on defense? All the little, our non-negotiables, we call them. If we're great at that after 2 weeks, I'm gonna be happy.
Well, I appreciate it, Nate. And I know we're going to be talking a lot about Alabama throughout the course of this season. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, Andy. Thanks for having me on.